My name is Jen Haskell. I'm the Director of Sales Enablement and Global Sales Training for Nasuni. Nasuni is a Boston-based company where we bring companies to the cloud. And I'm responsible for the success of my sales team. So whether it's our non-tenured reps, new hires, transitioning into their new roles, doing the typical 30, 60, 90-day programs, or our existing team, further developing them and pulling examples of what good looks like and transferring it throughout the rest of the organization. That's the meat of what I do. Well, so several years ago, I actually worked at another company that made a partnership with Highspot. So I have to say I was a little biased and I had a little more knowledge about what a content management solution can do for your company. I was lucky because as I joined Nasuni, one of our directors on the product marketing team was already looking at implementing Highspot. So for me, it was, yeah, we absolutely have to do this because this is going to give us a level of visibility into what content we create that resonates with customers that we haven't historically had. Well, I think it's easy to use, right? It's not over-engineered. So if I am building out my team, I knew long-term it'd be easy to transition off the ownership of the tool. Also, from a sales rep perspective, it allowed us, because one of the things I noticed right away was we have SharePoint, we have Teams, we have our own interface. We have all these different ways that we can communicate with documentation. But if you're a seller, it was confusing. Do I go to Confluence? Do I go to SharePoint? Where does this live? Well, Highspot was the answer. So we actually also took not just the external facing content, but we also took advantage of the opportunity to bring in an internal sales resources page, which really became the first stop for all our sellers to get what they needed. I mean, a seller's time is valuable, and the last thing I want to do is have them spend 20 minutes looking for what they need. I mean, sales enablement, the value is bringing your reps to a point where they can become productive quickly if they're new, or they know what they need to do for an operating rhythm and a cadence, right? They know what's expected of them, but they know how to execute on that. So how do I bring that to leadership? I demonstrate that all the programs we're creating are thoughtful, that they're all foundational building blocks for what's to come. And I tell a story about here's where we start in order to get to where we are today, but this is why we're doing it, because it's going to allow us to get to where we need to be tomorrow. I think a lot of things, right? Again, that level of visibility. If we're sending something out to a customer, is it driving the sales cycle the way that we need to? Is it resonating with the customers? What's getting the most hits? And it also allows us to make sure that even in our own process of using that content to prospect, we can become a little more consistent. I don't have sales reps going off the rails. I mean, certainly they can customize and personalize, and I love the option to remix presentations, but it's just creating an overall strategy for what that external facing communication looks like, and then being able to track the effectiveness of it. So many. I mean, listen, we have a DO initiative that was a huge priority for us the first half of the year. Highspot gives us visibility again into how we're driving that sales cycle. We also had another focus on the importance of debriefing. We had a keynote at our revenue kickoff meeting in February that was specifically focused on the art of doing the debrief. And Highspot allows us to send that debrief to the customer or even educate the customer before a call. But again, internally, we're setting up sales plays, competitive battle cards. Historically, I've had 2 or 3 different systems that I've had to use to provide all of that information to sellers. Now it's just built right in one place. So again, back to central repository. Yeah, so we have a rep performance scorecard, and a component of that is how they use the existing tech stack. And we actually do pay attention to Highspot. We pay attention to what their overall engagement looks like and the level of analytics. I mean, there's also been some new stuff that's come out in the past like 4 or 5 months. It's been huge for us because we can see our top performing reps are always the ones that are most engaged in using Highspot. From my perspective, good sales enablement is a combination of really strategic thinking, the ability to advocate on behalf of your sellers, the insight of knowing what resonates with customers, and having a plan to track all of that in a quantifiable way and tie it directly back to the business, whether it's revenue, whether it's pipeline generation, or the overall goals that you have. But I also think enablement is a combination of content creation, it's a coaching opportunity, it's streamlined processes. So I always think, a good enablement program is one that encompasses a lot of different things.
The entire ecosystem.
The entire ecosystem, absolutely. I think it's a huge miss. If you're a company and you're looking at your tech stack and you have a sales function, I think it's a huge miss if you don't have a tool like Highspot, because it is going to help your sellers be better at what they do.